Development. What is it all about? So in web development, we have two kinds. We have the static web development and the dynamic web development. If you stick to this video to the very end, you're going to know which of these is more expensive. And if you have been thinking of a website, after watching this video, you will be able to know which particular category the website you want to build falls under. Let's get into the business of the day. What's web development? Web development is a process of creating websites. The website can be for different purposes. The website can be for entertainment, the website can be for information, the website can be for business, the website can be for goods and services. The website can be for anything. What makes a website different from the other? And that brings us to the two categories of website we have. Now, if you have a website that you visit regularly, when you go to that website URL, you log into that website and you see that the website is the same every time. It doesn't change. The information there is the same. The photos, the details, everything is there. It doesn't change. That's a static website. And what are these static websites mostly used for? They're mostly used for resume, for portfolio page, for landing pages, for brochures, or brochures, how they call it. Pardon my accent. They are mostly used for resume, portfolio, brochures, landing pages, those kind of stuff that the information there is just what you put out and you don't worry about if it's changing or not. Or even if it change, it doesn't change regularly. Like if you're putting out a resume portfolio, those information there are going to be there for a while until maybe you change your position and you update it by putting in the new position you have. Static website is the cheapest among the web development we have. It is very cheap. Get a domain name, you can host it on any hosting platform. All you just need is your HTML code, and that's it. Your index page and maybe a couple of pages, your about page, maybe your contact page, and that's it. You have a static website up and running. It takes you less than maybe 30 minutes to get everything done. But the one that is expensive, that takes time, that takes a lot of planning and resources to get it up and running, is the dynamic website. The dynamic website is very complicated and is expensive. It's not a website that you can wake up one morning and just launch. No. What makes it expensive? What makes it different from the static website? Number one, a dynamic website uses server, because the information that the dynamic website serves are dynamic. In other words, they change regularly. If the information that you want to put on your website that you're planning to create is going to be changing on a regular basis, then you should be leaning towards the dynamic side. And that's just one of it. Number two, it uses a database. Databases are more like a directory where you store some information. Databases are not cheap, they are expensive. Then number three, you need storage. Take for example, you have huge collection of customer information. Those information cannot live on your database alone because they might become too expensive and those information might not even be used on a regular basis. So those information can be moved to your storage, and now that's another expense. So it uses server, it uses database, and it uses storage. These three things are expensive to manage. So that's why you see websites like Facebook, Twitter, Uber, and all the likes. They're not cheap application to make. Yes, you might be somebody that have the idea, but for you to create an app like that, it is very expensive because a lot of things need to go down into making that thing possible. Let's say, for example, you want to create a website or an app like Facebook. Think of the user data. It has to be authenticated, there have to be registration, there have to be integration through APIs, there have to be database, there have to be servers, and these servers we're talking about, it helps your application to be available in multiple locations at the same time, because if your website is available in New York and that same website they want to use it in maybe in China, you cannot use the same server, because if your user is in New York and the website is hosted in New York, it's going to be faster compared to the website that is hosted in China. Just giving you kind of idea. So for you to have an effective service in China, then you have to create another server over there in China using the Chinese server. So all those information have to be there, so that when customers come in, or those people that uses your application, then they can be able to access it without experiencing delay. So now back to, what do you have in mind that you want to design? As a client that is looking for the service of a web developer, what exactly are you looking for? Are you looking for a website that's just going to display information that don't change on a regular basis? Or are you looking for a website that's going to be changing on a regular basis? Is it going to require authentication, which is registration? Is it going to require people putting their personal information like their social security numbers, their credit cards and all that stuff? If your website is going to have all these features, then it's no longer going to be a static website. That's a full-blown dynamic website. And to set up a service like this, or a website like this, takes time, takes resources, because you need engineers, professional engineers that is going to be able to manage all this and deliver to the need of that particular resources or that particular service that you want. So having said that, if you have been contemplating which way to go in creating or developing your website, now you know you can either do it the static way or you can do it the dynamic way. The dynamic way is expensive and the static way is cheap. The static you can set up in few hours, the dynamic can take months. And that brings us to solution architecture, that brings us to DevOps engineer, that brings us to developers. It's a whole process. Having a full-blown website is not as easy as it's saying, because you need professionals to be able to design the website. And who are these people? They are people that understand the server-side language like PHP, like Python, like JavaScript server-side, like Ruby, a bunch of, server-side language that can be used to develop a website. So if you like content like this, don't forget to like this video, give it a thumbs up, and make sure you follow us.